Welcome to Soulful Love Chronicles, where every story unravels a secret. So, let's dive into another story. 9 hours. That week, it was 9 damn hours shuttling Eleanor, my mother-in-law, to her dialysis. 9 hours feeling like a rag doll left out in the rain. Up at 4:30 a.m., fighting the snarl of traffic, finding parking, then drowning in the waiting room's stale coffee and bleach smell. My body just moved an empty shell. Eleanor, God bless her tired soul, had kidneys about as useful as a cracked mug. So 3 times a week, this grim ballet. My wife, Clara, always had unmovable corporate hours. That was her polite way of saying, "Not my problem, Ethan. You handle it." So it was always me. This past week was a special kind of hell. Eleanor caught some bug, meaning extra trips. 9 more hours of driving, 9 more hours of waiting. By Thursday, I was pretty sure I saw the dialysis machine doing a jig. But, family, you swallow the bitter pill. So I did. By Friday, my mind felt like roadside litter. Friday night, I limped home, dropped Eleanor off, dreaming of a few hours of quiet, maybe even face-planting into a pillow without dreaming of hospital chairs. Pulled into the drive around 7:30 p.m. Vivian's car was there, and 2 others I knew from Clara's endless work happy hours. Fantastic. Nothing screams welcome home like a pack of half-drunk corporate vultures. I dragged myself towards the back porch, too drained to care, but curious enough to catch their cackling. Sounded like rejects from a failed reality show, high on cheap wine. I stopped by the side gate, and then Vivian's voice cut through the air, sharp as a broken bottle. "He's like a dog," she sneered. "Obedient, pathetic, too stupid to run." The table erupted, a shrieking chorus like gulls tearing apart scraps. Then Clara, my wife of 8 years, slurred through her own laughter. "Don't insult dogs. At least they're loyal and useful." More howls from her peanut gallery. She was laughing so hard, she spilled her wine. It dripped off the porch like blood, slow and heavy. Vivian nearly toppled over. That was my welcoming committee. I stood there, frozen. Sweat still plastered my shirt to my back, muscles aching from a week of trying to make Eleanor comfortable. Listening to these adults tear me apart like I was evening entertainment. They kept laughing, their sounds echoing in the open bedroom window. As I trudged up the walk, I thought maybe a quick shower. Then I'd try to plaster on a smile for Clara and her crew. Even though my brain was sputtering like a dying engine, I stepped inside, starting to untie my boots. And then Vivian's voice again, grating like an alarm, punched through the night. "He jumped, see? Like a dog. Obedient, pathetic, too stupid to run." Blood in my veins turned to ice. I froze, one boot half off, just staring. And Clara, the queen of the mock, burst out laughing so hard. She cursed, then choked out, "Don't insult dogs. At least they're loyal." The whole porch exploded again. A clown car of shrieks and giggles, slapping knees over the pathetic Ethan routine. And there I was, filthy from the road, smelling like hospital waiting rooms, fumbling with a crusty shoelace. The punchline to their private joke. 8 years of marriage, reduced to a trained animal for Vivian and Clara's social club. My first thought? Storm out there, flip the table. Glasses, plates, that sad charcuterie board. All of it scattered in the dark grass. Just watch them choke on that. But something inside me just died. A cold, sudden stop, like an engine seizing up in ice. So I finished pulling off my boots. Each movement was mechanical, like disarming a bomb. I marched upstairs, stripped, and stood under the hottest shower I could bear, trying to steam the humiliation out of my skin, but it clung to me like a disease. When I came back down, hair dripping, I poked my head into the living room. Clara didn't even glance up, just waved a lazy hand with her wine glass, like I was a passing servant. "Babe," I said, my voice flat. "I'm exhausted. Driving Eleanor all week. I'm going to bed." She barely blinked, already back to showing Vivian something on her phone. Giggling, I climbed into bed, staring at the ceiling fan, spinning like a cheap hypnotist's wheel. Round and round, just like my thoughts. Every snide remark, every quick eye roll, every time she'd cut me off to show her friends some stupid meme, it all slammed into me. At 3:27 a.m., my phone lit up my tired face. I was scrolling through old texts like a desperate scavenger, digging up broken pieces of what we used to be. Then I found it. A message from last month. I'd asked Clara if she could grab a few groceries on her way home. Milk, eggs, bread, the simple stuff that keeps a life running. Her reply still burned behind my eyes. "Can't you do it? Not like you have anything important going on today." Nothing important? That day, I was wrestling with a new water heater after hours of the old one leaking rusty sludge everywhere. Apparently, keeping us from showering in brown goo wasn't important. Who needed hot water when you could just laugh at your husband on the porch, right? The next morning, I was driving Eleanor to her 5:30 a.m. appointment, a time that felt illegal to even be awake. 20 miles down the highway, I was talking to my old pickup truck like it was my confessor. "Listen, buddy," I mumbled to the steering wheel. "You're the only one who gets it, huh? You keep rolling, I keep rolling, and neither of us gets a thank you." The truck didn't answer, but the way the engine sighed over a pothole felt like agreement. By the time I pulled Eleanor back into her driveway, I knew what I had to do. First call went to Marcus, my high school buddy. Construction guy, divorced 3 years ago, knows all about women who see men as walking toolboxes. I laid it all out. No softening the edges. "Marcus," she called me a dog. Pathetic dog. And she laughed about it. Marcus's voice boomed through the phone. "Brother, you're not a dog. You're a goddamn workhorse. They're riding you into the ground and laughing as you fall." A workhorse. That hit different. Next call was to Leo, my financial advisor. I told him straight, "Leo, I think I need to plan ahead." He got it. Turns out there's a lot you can do to protect yourself when your spouse sees you as a glorified chauffeur with a built-in dishwasher function. The real knife twist? Eleanor, sweet, tired, gentle Eleanor, had no idea what her own daughter said. She cried yesterday, wrapped her thin, dialysis-worn arms around me and whispered, "Ethan, I don't know what I'd do without you. You're the son I never had." That nearly split my skull. This past weekend, I've been quiet, deadly quiet. Clara hasn't noticed. She's too busy with her endless social calendar, flipping through happy hours to see the shift in my eyes. Something inside me changed, dropped down like a transmission into low gear. Slow, unstoppable, methodical. Ever wonder how someone can share your bed for 8 years and still see you as a half-trained animal instead of a human with, feelings and a backbone? That question spins in my head every night, keeping me awake, staring at the ceiling fan like it's going to spell out the answer in Morse code. I'll keep helping Eleanor. She deserves it. She never treated me like dirt. But Clara, let's just say this obedient dog, is about to show them what happens when you kick a loyal creature one too many times. I've been researching, documenting, lining things up like an engine teardown. Every bolt, every gasket, nothing missed. But there's a part of me, a big, stupid, hopeful part, that still just wants to look her dead in the eye and ask, "Do you really think I'm nothing but a pathetic dog?" That's all for now, I guess. Eleanor's next dialysis is at 5:30 a.m. tomorrow. I'm going to try and snag maybe 4 hours of sleep before the alarm shrieks like a rooster on something strong. Day 1, called the bank. Set up a separate account faster than you could say financial independence. Redirected my entire direct deposit there. Effective next paycheck. Left enough in our joint account to cover essential bills. I wasn't looking to leave Clara stranded overnight, but I wasn't about to let her bleed my money dry once she caught on. Day 2, called Eleanor's clinic. Politely explained I was being slowly crushed trying to haul her around at dawn 3 days a week. Left out the part about her daughter's cackling wine club. The receptionist was incredibly understanding. Bless her. Rearranged most appointments to later in the day, except for one early morning a week. Small victories. Clara, meanwhile, still hadn't noticed a damn thing. Too busy scrolling TikTok while I stirred the pasta sauce. No clue the ground beneath her was shifting like a fault line. Day 3. Okay, this wasn't supposed to happen so soon, but something just clicked in me. I was at the kitchen table trying to talk to Clara about the leaky faucet upstairs. Because, water damage is an actual problem. And she was half listening, half watching some phone video of a dog in sunglasses. I looked at her across the table and thought, "Enough, Clara," I said, as steady as I could. "I heard what you said about me to your friends that night on the porch." Her head snapped up so fast, I swear I heard a little pop in her neck. Her eyes went from wide, like she'd found a spider in her cereal, to narrow and calculating in half a second. The first thing out of Clara's mouth, a flat denial, like she'd rehearsed it in front of a mirror. "What are you talking about? You're being weird." "Weird, lady? I was weird after you called me a pathetic dog to your giggle squad?" So, I repeated the line, word for word. Obedient, pathetic, too stupid to run. And you should have seen how fast she shifted gears. Like a cheap transmission about to drop its guts in the driveway. Oh my God. It was just girl talk. Everyone vents about their partners. You're making a big deal out of nothing. Girl talk? Nothing says girl talk like comparing your husband to a half-trained yard dog. I didn't even bother replying. Just stared at her, letting the silence grow heavy and oppressive, like radiator coolant flooding a boiling engine. Then I asked, calm as could be, "Do you think it's normal to compare your spouse to a pathetic animal while he's literally exhausting himself helping your sick mother?" That's when the waterworks kicked in. Fake tears, of course. Like water on a hot pan, dramatic hiss for 5 seconds, then gone. "I'm sorry you feel that way," she sniffed. Yes, the world-famous non-apology. "I'm sorry you feel that way," which is basically code for your feelings are the problem, not what I did. Day 4, I'd had enough. Called Clara's brother, Owen. Always liked him. Solid guy. Told him I needed to talk about something serious regarding Eleanor's care. Met him at a greasy diner. Sat him down and dropped the bomb. Owen, I'm going to play you something, and you need to hear it to the end. I hit play on the voice memo. Yeah, I recorded that night. After hearing them the first time, I'd stepped outside, started the recording app, and set my phone on the windowsill before hitting the shower. I checked the state laws on one-party consent first. Owen went through about 5 different facial expressions in 30 seconds. Confusion, disbelief, rage, embarrassment, then finally, just a cold, soul-deep disappointment. Send me that, he said quietly. I did. No hesitation. Day 5, radio silence. Nobody from Clara's family texted. Sent a carrier pigeon. Nothing. Later, Owen told me he played the recording for Eleanor. Apparently, she cried for a solid hour, then phoned Clara to rip her a brand new one. Owen said he'd never heard his mom go off like that. Meanwhile, I went full gray rock, like one of my peers suggested. Just turned into a blank wall. No more cooking her favorite meals. No more picking up her dirty coffee cups from random corners. No more pretending to care how her day went. I didn't yell, didn't sulk, didn't slam doors. Just idled in neutral, emotionally unhooked. Day 8. Clara rolled in the door with flowers, discount tulips, I noted, and my favorite takeout. Put on this sugary voice like she was auditioning for a toothpaste commercial. Babe, I really think we can move past this rough patch, she cooed. I want us to reconnect. Yeah, right. I ate the pad thai, nodded, said thanks for dinner. Carried my plate to the sink. Then I walked straight to the spare bedroom where I'd been sleeping. Later that night, after moving into the spare bedroom, I took out the recycling. 3 empty wine bottles rattled around like the ghosts of bad decisions. Then I heard Clara on the phone with Vivian, full-on crying, snot bubble style from the sound of it. Funny how sound travels through the vents. Huh? Cuts both ways. Day 10. I called my sister, Sylvia, across town. She's always had my back. The ride-or-die type. We talked for almost 2 hours, me laying out every rotten piece of this circus. The porch comments, the half-apologies, the fake tears, all of it. By the end, Sylvia just sighed and said, Ethan, the guest room is yours for as long as you need it. No rush, no pressure. Bless her. She's the type who keeps spare clean towels folded and ready even when you aren't sure you're coming. After that, I started packing quietly, methodically, like a magpie gathering shiny treasures. A few documents, a couple family photos, a backup hard drive with all my important stuff, my grandpa's pocket knife. Small enough she wouldn't notice them missing, but important enough that if she torched the place tomorrow, I'd still have what mattered. Day 12. This is where it got interesting. I was home alone. Clara was off getting her hair shellacked at her weekly appointment when the doorbell rang. Vivian. Yeah, that Vivian. She asked if she could talk to me alone, and I let her in, mostly out of morbid curiosity. I mean, what was left to lose? She stood there, twisting her car keys in her hands, looking like she'd just seen a ghost. Ethan, she started, voice all wobbly. I want to apologize. About that night, it was wrong. We were drunk, but still, it was wrong. Okay, didn't see that coming. Then she dropped the bomb. Clara had apparently been bad-mouthing me for months. Little digs about how simple I was, how easy it was to flutter her lashes and get me to jump, how I'd never grow a backbone. Why are you telling me this now? I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. Vivian sighed deep enough to stir a hurricane. Owen played me that recording, and it made me see how toxic our whole friend group is. I can't keep being part of that. I thanked her genuinely. I mean, at least she came clean, which was more honesty than I'd seen from my own wife in months. After she left, I sat in my truck for an hour, talking to the dash like it was my therapist. Well, old buddy, I told the steering wheel, guess you're still the best listener I've got. Day 13, execution day. I waited until Clara was off to work, then took a personal day for my job. Called Marcus and 2 other buddies who owed me more than a few favors, and rented a moving truck the size of a school bus. We went through the house like a precision pit crew. I took exactly half of everything, right down to the measuring cups and spare light bulbs. Her half I left neatly arranged, like a showroom display. No slash tires, no ketchup-smeared walls. None of that. Just quiet, efficient, unstoppable. I wrote a note in my neatest handwriting. Clara, I'm moving out. I'll still help with Eleanor's appointments, but our marriage is over. I'll be in touch by email about next steps. By 3 p.m., I was sitting on Sylvia's porch with a sweaty glass of iced tea, feeling something I hadn't felt in months. Peace. Then the texts started flooding in. First, where are you? Then, where's your truck? Then her texts got really interesting. First, confusion, like she'd been smacked with a frying pan. Did something happen? Then realization, smacking her upside the head. Are you serious right now? You moved out without even talking to me. After that, predictably, came the rage stage. You can't just leave like this. This is abandonment. I'll tell everyone what you did. And once she'd screamed into the void for a bit, bargaining showed up, wearing its sad clown makeup. Please come home. We can fix this. I'll go to counseling. I'll do whatever you want. I only responded once. One time. As cold and clinical as a hospital discharge form. I'm safe. I'm staying with family. I'll continue taking Eleanor to her appointments. All other communication needs to go through email from now on. Then I muted her number so fast, it was like hitting the ejection seat. Day 14. Took Eleanor to her appointment this morning. She reached over and squeezed my hand while we waited, the dialysis machine humming like a grumpy coffee maker. Ethan, she said, tears in her eyes. I'm ashamed of how my daughter treated you. No matter what happens between you two, you'll always be family to me. Not gonna lie, that hit me straight in the chest. Deep. While Eleanor was in treatment, I checked my email. Clara had sent 17 messages overnight. 17. A tragic buffet of threats, guilt trips, heartfelt apologies. And then, because life is hilariously cruel, boring practical questions about bills. Speaking of bills, I paid my half of this month's mortgage and utilities. Then I yanked every last automatic payment from our joint accounts. Car insurance, Netflix, the premium cable package, and her minimum credit card payments. All stuff that used to vacuum money straight from my paycheck like a leech. All about to come due next week with no automatic rescue. Let's see how she likes remembering bill deadlines. Called a divorce attorney this afternoon too. Got a consultation scheduled for Monday. One more line on my to-do list checked off. And here's the strange part. I'm weirdly calm. For a guy whose entire life just got stripped down to the bare frame and is now being rebuilt from scratch, I feel more at peace than I have in years. Sure, there are moments where it hits me. Like this morning when I wanted to make coffee and realized I'd left my favorite mug behind. That stung. But mostly I feel unburdened. Like I'd been dragging a trailer with faulty brakes up a mountain for 8 years. And someone finally unhooked it so I could drive freely again. Clara's latest text. Yeah, I still read them. Just don't answer. This one said, you can't just throw away 8 years like they meant nothing. You owe me a conversation at least. And you know what? I'm not the one who threw away those 8 years. I'm just the one who finally realized how little they were worth to her. That's all for now, I guess. Eleanor's got another appointment tomorrow afternoon, and Sylvia drafted me to fix her garbage disposal tonight in trade for room and board. Life goes on, one bolt at a time. The aftermath. Later, Clara showed up at Sylvia's place out of nowhere. What I didn't mention was how off she seemed. Not drunk exactly, but not firing on all cylinders either. Sylvia described her best. Hair like a tangled rat's nest, dark circles. Pajama pants with a wrinkled blouse that looked like she'd pulled it from the bottom of the hamper. My wife, soon-to-be ex, is the kind of person who puts on mascara just to check the mailbox. So, seeing her like a bargain bin, sleep-deprived raccoon, something was definitely cracked under the hood. Day 15. Had that consultation with the attorney. Solid guy. Didn't try to upsell me on some scorched earth divorce package. Just laid out the community property rules nice and clean. Half of everything we built in the marriage was hers. Half was mine. When I showed him how I'd already divided up the house with photos and lists, he raised an eyebrow and chuckled. You'd be surprised how many people don't do this, he said. I just shrugged. Why trash the place? No need to dump gasoline on an already burning ship. Later that evening, Owen texted, asking if we could meet. We hit that coffee place near the hardware store. Owen looked like a zombie with insomnia, eyes puffy, stress lines deep enough to need asphalt filler. He ran a hand over his face and sighed like a man on the edge. Ethan, she's called me 20 times a day, he told me. Crying, screaming, sometimes both at once. Then he dropped the kicker. She showed up at my apartment at midnight last night, pounding on the door, woke up my kid, said I had to convince mom to stop talking to you. I nearly spit my coffee across the table. Eleanor, I asked. Owen snorted, told Clara exactly where she could shove that idea. Eleanor might be dealing with kidney failure, but she's still got a steel backbone. Day 16 and 17, relative quiet. Too quiet. Like the part in a horror movie where you just know the killer is about to jump out. Clara went full digital ghost mode. No texts, no posts, no random calls. Sylvia even joked. Maybe aliens finally abducted her. I almost started to worry something really had happened to her. I mean, how long can you go without drama when you thrive on it? But no, I should have known. It was just the calm before the storm. Day 18. Took Eleanor to her appointment again. Good news for once. Her numbers were improving. And the doctor was even talking about cutting dialysis down from 3 times a week to twice. Small wins feel huge these days. I was sitting there in the waiting room, half reading a magazine about boats I'd never own, half zoning out, when my phone blew up with notifications. Clara went full nuclear on Facebook. Full nuclear. Wrote up some tragic novella about how I had abandoned her without warning, and how the man she trusted with her heart had betrayed her in the cruelest way. Tagged half our mutual friend list. A classic Darvo move if I'd ever seen one. Deny, attack, reverse victim and offender. The thing is, the comment section. That was where the popcorn-worthy stuff went down. Owen just put a single question mark, probably the most savage punctuation mark on the planet in that moment. Then Vivian, yeah, the same Vivian who started the dog talk, chimed in with, "There are two sides to every story. Maybe people shouldn't rush to judgment." Okay, Vivian, a bit late to grow a conscience, but better than never, I guess. Then Marcus, bless that man's petty little heart, dropped the hammer. "Funny how you left out the part where you called your hard-working husband a pathetic dog while he was driving your mother to dialysis." 37 likes before Clara deleted the entire post in a fit of embarrassment. Guess she couldn't stand her own dirty laundry flapping in the wind. Day 19, time to pick up more of my stuff. Coordinated with Clara so I'd come by while she was at work. Because honestly, I was not in the mood for another episode of As the Porch Turns. When I walked in, the place looked like a raccoon convention gone wrong. Dishes piled up, rotting takeout boxes everywhere, dirty laundry draped on every flat surface like tragic modern art. The sink was clogged, and judging by the half-disassembled drain parts lying on the floor, she'd actually tried to fix it herself, then rage quit halfway through. For half a second, muscle memory nearly kicked in. My brain screamed, "Grab the wrench, fix it." But then I snapped out of it. Not my problem. Not anymore. While I was gathering the last of my tools from the garage, I got a text from an unknown number. Turns out it was Chloe, one of the original porch wine vultures. "Hey Ethan, I'm just worried about Clara. Maybe you're being too harsh by cutting her off completely." "Oh really, Chloe? Miss Too Stupid to Run was worried?" I fired back one line and left it there. "Would you want to stay married to someone who laughed about you being pathetic and useless behind your back?" No reply. Shocker. Day 20 and 21. Eleanor invited me to Sunday dinner. Just me and her. No drama. She made her famous pot roast, the one that smells like heaven in a crockpot. Over dinner, we had a real, honest heart-to-heart. She actually apologized for raising a daughter who could be so cruel. That nearly cracked my heart in half. "You have nothing to apologize for," I told her. "Grown kids make their own choices." Before I left, she handed me a small wooden box. Inside was her father's old pocket watch. Said she'd been saving it for the son she always wanted. Yeah, I don't cry much, but I had to go sit in my truck for 10 solid minutes before I trusted myself to drive away. Day 22. Then came the Texas spring rainstorm. If you've never lived through one, let me tell you it's a biblical level event. Thunder rattling the windows like a sledgehammer. Lightning lighting up the night sky like a camera flash. Rain coming down like someone was dumping buckets straight from the roof of heaven. Around 9 p.m., I was halfway under Sylvia's sink, trying to chase down a leaking P-trap, when headlights swept across the front windows. I froze like a raccoon in a trash can. Clara's car parked sideways, taking up both spots in the driveway like she was expecting a getaway. That was my first clue this was going to be fun. Sylvia and I locked eyes. She raised an eyebrow. "Want me to call the cops?" I wiped my hands on a rag. "Let's wait and see." Didn't have to wait long. Clara came storming up the front walk. No umbrella, no raincoat, just soaked like a sad sponge. Started pounding on the front door hard enough to rattle the hinges. Sylvia cracked the door, keeping the chain on. Clara tried to shoulder barge right through anyway, like she was about to repossess a car. "I need to see Ethan right now," she yelled. Sylvia, all 5'2" of righteous fury, held her ground. "Back up, or I'll call the police." Clara scowled, stepped back, but didn't leave. Just stood there on the porch while the rain turned her into a raccoon-eyed mess. And then the screaming started. She let it all pour out, louder than the thunder overhead. "How could you do this to me? 8 years meant nothing to you. You're cruel. Heartless. You cut me off without even letting me explain or make things right." Between the mascara rivers and the shrieking, I couldn't decide if I should hand her a tissue or a microphone. She kept going. "I can't pay the credit card bill. They're charging me late fees. My car needs new brakes and I can't afford them. Everyone is taking your side and I'm losing all my friends." It was a tragic opera, with Clara in the starring role of Victim of the Year. What she never said, not once, was, "I'm sorry for calling you a pathetic dog while you were busting your tail to help my sick mom." That apology was nowhere to be found in the greatest hits of Clara. I stood in the doorway, just watching her. This woman I'd spent nearly a decade with, unravel on my sister's porch like a cheap sweater in a hurricane. And the strangest thing? I felt absolutely nothing. No anger, no thrill of revenge, no pity. Just this calm, solid certainty that I was watching someone else's mess. Finally, when she paused to catch her breath, I stepped forward. Clara, I'm not enjoying seeing you like this, I told her, as evenly as a judge reading a parking ticket. But I'm not responsible for it either. You showed me exactly who you were and how you saw me, and I'm just believing you. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. Rain pounded on the porch roof like a war drum. Adults, I added, face consequences for their choices. These are yours. And then, because I guess I couldn't help myself, I twisted the wrench one more time. I will always make sure your mom is cared for, Clara, even if you won't, because that's what decent humans do for each other. That hit her so hard. I swear you could practically hear something snap inside. She just stood there, mouth flopping open and shut like a fish gasping for air. Then she whispered, voice raw. I made one mistake, one stupid comment when I was drunk, and you're throwing away our whole marriage over it. That was the moment I decided to play the ace I'd been holding up my sleeve. Calm as a mechanic about to quote an expensive repair bill, I pulled out my phone, tapped open the voice memos, and hit play. Not just the dog comment. Oh no, that was just the appetizer. I served up 3 more tasty courses. One where Clara told Vivian how she'd trained me to do the grocery shopping by pretending to be bad at it so I'd just take over. One where she laughed about how I was so naive I actually believed she cared about my boring stories from work. And the piece de resistance, Clara bragging about how she could get me to do literally anything by withholding intimacy for a few days. Her face went from flushed to pale like I'd sucked the battery straight out of her. How long have you been recording me? She hissed. I just shrugged, cool as a fan. I haven't been, I said. Just happened to catch these few incidents. Once I started paying attention. She opened her mouth, then shut it again. This state is a one-party consent state, I reminded her, in case she thought about lawyering up. She didn't argue, didn't say another word. Just turned, walked back into the pouring rain, and drove away. Day 23 to 27. Divorce proceedings officially started. Owen texted me that Clara had been trying to hit up their parents for money to help cover bills. They refused. Apparently, she's hunting for a roommate now since she can't swing the mortgage solo. Meanwhile, I found myself a small apartment close enough to help Eleanor, but far enough away that I didn't have to worry about bumping into Clara or her leftover friend group. Sylvia came over to help me move in. The place is humble, but it's mine. Me, my tools, and some peace and quiet. That's all I need. Day 28. Met with the mediator to finalize the divorce details. Clara came in looking like someone had let all the air out of her tires. No screaming, no tantrums, just deflated. We settled everything in under 2 hours. She keeps the house and the mortgage. I keep my truck, my tools, and we split the savings right down the middle. Even the mediator looked surprised. She didn't contest a thing. As we were leaving, Clara asked, "Can we talk privately?" Against my better judgment, I nodded. For the first time ever, she actually gave me a real apology. "No, sorry you feel that way. No, but you overreacted nonsense. Just a straight up, I'm sorry." She told me she'd been thinking hard, that she realized she'd taken me for granted. Had never really considered what would happen if I wasn't there fixing everything, paying for everything, keeping her world running. I let it sink in, then nodded. "Thank you," I said. "I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for." Then I turned and left. Driving home, talking to my dashboard like an old friend, it hit me. For 8 years, I'd been the fixer, the guy who held the bolts together, the one who kept the engine running when it should have been junked. Never once did it cross my mind that sometimes the best fix is knowing when to walk away from a machine that can't be repaired. So that's where things stand now. The divorce will be final in a couple of months. Eleanor's health is looking up. Her doctor says she might be a transplant candidate next year, which feels like winning a small lottery. On the weekends, I help Marcus with his deck project, payments and beer and barbecue, which, let's be honest, is a fair deal any day. Life still isn't perfect. My apartment pipes make weird noises I can't quite figure out yet. And the neighbor's dog starts barking at 5 a.m. like clockwork. I still sometimes reach across the bed, expecting someone to be there. But for the first time in forever, I'm not someone's tool. I'm not someone's dog. I'm just me. A guy with a beat-up toolbox and a heart that's starting to mend. Figuring out how to rebuild after years of wear and tear.